Hello, this is Damian Jones from H&H. Just here to give you a little bit of insight into the 146 cars we're putting under the hammer on October the 14th. Naturally, the star cars, those which have drawn the most attention, are the Richard Colton 1960 Ferrari 250 GT short wheelbase, which was the very, very first Maranello concessionaire's customer car, so it has some small place in the history of Maranello concessionaires becoming the world's leading right-hand drive UK dealership. And also Richard Colton's 275 GTB4 cam, again nice bit of Maranello concessionaire's history. It was their demonstrator, and both cars, Richard Colton owned the short wheelbase from 76 and the 4 cam from 74, and also amongst the Richard Colton cars there's the E-Type lightweight recreation and the XK120 fixed head coupe that was supplied new to lady racing driver Patsy Burt, and finally a 550 Maranello, so another great Ferrari V12 front engine GT. We've been fortunate enough with this auction to have been offered a couple of fantastic rally cars. So a Ford RS200, one of those incredible cars that Ford developed for Group B racing, which sadly never got to fulfill its potential. And then a more recent and more historic rally car, we've got the 1997 Subaru Impreza WRC chassis number 001, the very, very first car that ProDrive built to the WRC specification, and which was exhaustively tested by Colin McRae and Nicky Grist ahead of the 97 season. It was then sold off by ProDrive. It had quite a successful rally career in its own right, before being bought back in 2009 by the vendor, who then commissioned ProDrive to restore it back to its original specification. So it's very, very unusual to have been authenticated by ProDrive, restored to original specification using a lot of parts you just can't get hold of now. The collection of cars that assembled for the auction is pretty diverse, so includes things which aren't cars, like a 1943 Sherman Grizzly tank. That is notable as being the first of only 188 ever made by the Montreal Locomotive Works. In terms of pre-war cars, we've got a fantastic 1929 Rally Type ABC Voiturette. That car was campaigned in period, so it ran at the Brooklands Double 12. It won a silver medal on the Land's End trial. It was then raced through the 30s at various sprints and hill climbs. Very, very original car, very, very pretty, quite sort of Bugatti Type 37-esque in its appeal. Also, we've got a couple of cracking WO Bentley 3.4.5s, one a matching numbers car that has been toured literally all over the world, and the other a car that Sid Lawrence built in the 1950s and then campaigned at the likes of Goodwood and Silverstone and Snetterton and that sort of thing. We have a Series 3 V12 fixed head coupe Jaguar E-Type that was owned and enjoyed by George Best for several years. Plenty of period photos of him out with the car, and also some video film of him leaving Old Trafford for the last time after his famous bust-up with Tommy Doherty. Again, for Jags on the silver screen, a XJ12C that was the star of the New Avengers. There's a particular memorable episode in that series of the car out dragging a contemporary F1 car. Again, that big cat has been hidden from view for a number of years. Very much a barn find, coming to market for the first time, well, since the 1990s, but huge amount of attention that's attracted. Again, a car which is a very worthwhile restoration project, in fact two, both Aston Martins. One is the Sotheby Special. It's one of 3 cars bodied to that design by Ogle. It's the first of the 3. It was the car that was at the Montreal and Geneva motor shows. Current ownership for 40 odd years, presumed lost for many years, and a fantastic opportunity for an Aston aficionado who wants to get it restored and then be invited to pretty much the concours of their choice. Another Aston Martin very much worth saving is the 1973 V8 Works development car. That car was used to develop the Series 3 carburettor fed V8s, also retained by the Works for another 3 years or so. Unsurprisingly, the Richard Colton cars, the 250 GT short wheelbase and the 275 GTB4 cam, have attracted quite a few other Ferraris to that sale, probably the most notable of which is the Connolly car, a Ferrari F40 that was supplied new to FJ Connolly of the Leather dynasty. So, as you might expect, given his family's and his company's connections with Maranello, it is the only F40 that we're aware of that was trimmed in leather when new. So most F40s were supplied with synthetic upholstery. This because the links between Connolly and Maranello, trimmed in leather from new with the prancing horse emblems embossed in their special fuse box cover, but something a little bit out of the ordinary. UK supplied F40, good history from day one, low mileage, but that little bit extra, that little bit that makes it stand out from the crowd being the Connolly car and leather trimmed.